What's going on, everyone? Darkside Phil here, and happy Thanksgiving. That's right. Today is Thanksgiving, at least in the United States, and in some other countries they actually have similar holidays. This is traditionally a day where we step aside, we take time out from our daily lives to meet with friends and family, to have a really great meal together, and to be thankful, to overall be thankful for a lot of the things that that we have that are going great with our lives, and maybe to even have a little bit of inflection and to look a little bit inside of ourselves at what we've undergone in the past year, the trials, the tribulations, but the successes as well as the failures, and to kind of have a bigger picture perspective on your life overall. And of course I know there are people who just treat it as a commercial holiday and all it is about the food and watching football and boozing up, but for me it's always been a day when I try to take some time out to think about the big picture and overall how am I doing. And last year, unfortunately, being that it was the hardcore gaming season, I was so busy with so much stuff, I didn't really take time out to do that, and I'm very just kind of disappointed that I didn't, because I think it is very important, especially for someone like me who's doing something with their life that is so different than what the majority of people out there do, that I really need to take that personal time to think about myself and my past, my present, my future, and what overall I feel about everything that's been going on. And that's really what I'm going to do with this video. You know, a lot of other people, they're doing Thanksgiving spectaculars with crazy fucking effects and big montages and huge special guests. But me, I'm going to do what I do best. I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk about the experience over the past couple of years being here on YouTube as a full-time gamer. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to talk about the things that I'm very thankful for, because there are an overwhelming abundance of things that I am thankful for. And even though when you hear from me in channel updates and in different kinds of videos, and you hear me complaining about or notifying, I know because a lot of times people misconstrue when I'm saying think I'm whining, when I'm just trying to notify people of things going on with YouTube and YouTube bugs and view counts and this game was disappointing and blah blah blah. That it's not about being negative. It is about being positive and maintaining positivity. And there's an overwhelming amount of things for me to talk about when in regards to positive things that have been going on. So without further ado, let's get started. First of all, the fact that over the past year, yet again for the second year running, I have been able to find a way to be successful at what I'm doing, to basically have enough of a following here on YouTube that I am supporting myself, that I am making good money, that I am setting myself up to possibly do a future of whether or not it's necessarily always playing gameplay, but I'm setting myself up financially in a way that I am way better off now than I was 2 years ago when I got laid off from my full-time job, and I was kind of like down in the dumps wondering what the hell I was going to do. In fact, at this point, thanks to you, and by no means do I want anyone to misconstrue the fact that I know that it is all because of my viewers and their dedicated viewership that I have been so successful here, especially with such a competitive environment that YouTube has become. There are now, as opposed to when I started in 2008, when there was maybe a dozen, 20 people who were doing YouTube playthroughs of video games and reviews and such, and that were very popular. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of people who are now trying to make it big on YouTube doing this kind of stuff, to the point where you've got people who don't even do video games who've just decided mysteriously now that video game channels are getting partnered. Now I'm going to start a video game channel on YouTube. I wonder why all of a sudden they decided to do that. But it is a completely different environment right now. It is a cutthroat environment. It is dog eat dog. It is a very competitive environment to get views, to make money. And I'm still doing it, even though here I am, 2 years later from doing it full time, 4 years later from ever doing it at all on YouTube, and pretty much doing a very crude setup. And yes, I completely understand that ability to hook up a camera and just record my TV is way different than what most people who are successful at YouTube playthroughs are doing, but I'm still doing really well. And not to say that there haven't been challenges and things coming up, especially this particular past year that I will talk about in this video. But I am extremely grateful that here I am 2 years into it, where I could have been unemployed, I could have been searching desperately for a job to make payments on this condo and keep it, because remember, I just got this condo in 2009, and then getting laid off only a year and a half later, it completely blindsided me, and I could have been basically kicked out on the street because I couldn't afford to pay my mortgage. But being able to successfully do this and be in a good place financially, let me tell you, right now I am so happy. And the reason that I'm talking a lot in my videos about the possibility of next year maybe moving to a bigger place is because I have found a way to pay off most, if not all, of my credit card debt. I was at a point when I was younger where, unfortunately, due to things that happened in my life, like for example, after I got out of college, I moved out of my parents' house and moved to another town in Connecticut for a job. And that job only lasted about a year, and then I lost that job. And I was in dire straits. I needed to pay bills. I needed to pay for things, and I didn't have any money. And it was basically credit cards that I fell back upon, which is probably one of the worst things I ever did to myself. But I put myself in dire financial straits for a long-ass time. And even throughout the years afterwards, later on, when I moved back in with my parents to save money, and then I got my job that I held for almost 5 years, that desk job that I talk about all the time, which I was laid off from in 2010, and I built myself back up to a point where, I had some financial security, but not a lot, but enough that I was able to get this condo. And then, now that I've been on YouTube, I've been making enough money that I have basically paid off almost all of my credit card debt, which is like a huge weight off of my shoulders. Because if you understand how credit cards work, that's revolving debt. That's debt that makes money on itself every single month that you have it outstanding, to the point where if you're just making minimum payments, it could take you longer than your mortgage to pay off that debt. And I was really bogged down with it, and it was unfortunately, it was hindering me from doing a lot of things in my life that I wanted to do, and I was able to take care of that. So I'm extremely grateful to be able to, number one, consistently have fun doing what I'm doing on YouTube while I'm financially supporting myself in a pretty reasonable way. And a lot of people say, oh my God, it's Thanksgiving, and Phil says that he's going to actually put footage out on Thanksgiving. What's wrong with him? To me, this isn't a job. I'm serious. I really am serious about this. And people kind of say, oh no, he must think that, it's like a 9-to-5 job for him. He must put in gameplay. It's really not for me. Especially at a time like this where I have so many good games that I'm looking forward to playing, that doesn't feel like I'm working. It really feels like I'm just sitting here relaxing, having fun, and sharing those experiences with you guys. And that's why today it's Thanksgiving. I want to play some games, regardless of the fact that yesterday I had a really successful playthrough with the final episode of The Walking Dead, and I put out other footage with Scribblenauts today. I'm dying to jump back into PlayStation All-Stars. I'm dying to play more Scribblenauts. I love these games, and I'm having so much fun, and I want to share that fun with my viewers and fans, and that is such an amazing feeling. I am enjoying what I'm doing, having fun, and supporting myself and making money at the same time. I'm so freaking grateful that I'm able to do that, because there were years of my life, entire chunks, a decade of my life, since basically I got out of high school, where I was doing stuff that I just didn't really like. Sure, it was paying the bills, but it was not necessarily stuff that I was enjoying, stuff that I really felt that I excelled at. I actually felt that at some of my jobs I had more potential to do bigger and better things, but my management was holding me back. And that's the worst feeling in life. When you feel like you can excel and you can do more, but you are constantly pulled in a backwards direction by people who are controlling your life and who have the power to do that, and you have to put up with it because you're in a position where you are so financially reliant on what you're doing that you just have to say, oh well, I resign myself. I will be basically neutered. I will be hindered and held back because there's nothing I can do. I need the money. So, that's number one. Number two, and this is probably the biggest change for me and one of the biggest life-changing things that has happened to me in this past year, I am overwhelmingly grateful to have a girlfriend who loves me, who understands me, who through a lot of the very stressful things that have gone on over the past year has been there for me, and who has basically changed my life in a very positive way. There was long stretches of my life where, sure, there were women and there was stuff going on, but it wasn't like a serious relationship where I really considered that this might be someone who I would consider spending, you know, the rest of my life with. And I now have someone like that in Panda Lee, and I am extremely grateful for that. Even though, you know, it was a big decision for us back in February to announce publicly here on my YouTube channels that, you know, we were a couple and we were going out and to introduce her to the audience, and then subsequently, because she is a gamer just like me, to decide to introduce her to certain playthroughs, and of course the amazing amount of backlash and negativity that we got as a response to that, which undeniably I knew was going to happen, but it was a decision that we kind of collectively decided amongst ourselves that we would be able to accept and to put up with that kind of a response. But now, because of this, because I have her, I am able to not only get a different perspective on a lot of things in my life, but also I'm able to plan for bigger and better things. You know, right now, since I moved into this condo in 2009, I had absolutely no future vision of moving out, of getting a bigger place. I thought I was going to kind of camp here for several years and just work that 9-to-5 job that I had and save up my money and try to pay off my bills, so that maybe in my mid-30s, that's kind of what I was thinking, I would maybe move out to a bigger place. But I didn't have any kind of a vision that I am definitively going to find a girlfriend and I'm going to do this and do that. And now that I have her, now it's like, wow, you know, we've been going out for a year, which, holy shit, it's like, wow, does time ever fly? It does not feel like we've been going out for a year by any means. This whole past year has been kind of a blur for me with a lot of the stuff that's gone on. And, just like, wow, getting shell-shocked. Wow, I've been going out with her for a year. I've been on this YouTube gig for 2 years. It's like the older you get, the faster time flies. So let me tell you, if you're young and you can savor the time that you have, do so. Because you're going to get to a point in your life when you're like, wow, time is just flying by. And, you know, I feel like that's the kind of the point in my life that I'm at. And now to be able to have this future vision that maybe in a year and a half, 2 years, I'll be able to move out of here, get a bigger place to share with her, and we'll be able to do really cool stuff that we never imagined, like maybe a daily vlog series where it's following the lives of gamers who, you know, we're so into the games and gaming culture, and to see the kind of stuff that we do on a daily basis. To be able to do series together that we never imagined, like maybe be able to travel and do stuff together. People absolutely loved our vacation footage, and let me tell you, that is something that in the future of my life I would love to do. I would love to go travel to different places, document the trips vlog style like we did when we went to Orlando this year for our vacation back in August, and share that with you, because I'll tell you, number one, it was fun as hell to share all that stuff with everyone. Number two, the viewership and the feedback was amazingly positive. And being completely honest, number three, the views were so good that they pretty much paid for a major chunk of our trip. So it's like a win-win. We're having fun. We're sharing this with others to have an overall feeling of like positivity, to be able to share this with our fan base, and we're getting paid for it at the same time. Like, I would love in the future to be like a traveler who goes around the United States, who goes around even other countries, and documents cool stuff and shares it with everyone and makes out doing it. That would be an amazing thing. And so, because I have her, because I have Panda Lee, I'm able to have this kind of future vision now that I never really had. It was always kind of like, I'm seeing the next few weeks to months ahead of me, and that's it. Now I'm having this bigger vision of like a bigger chunk of my life, which is awesome. So yeah, it feels absolutely amazing. I'm so thankful to have someone who cares about me and who loves me, and I love her back. It's just a great positive feeling that I didn't have for quite some time, especially during this time when I was doing the YouTube thing. It was never really a major consideration for me. So yeah, those are primarily like the two major things that I am so thankful for. And of course, there's also the fact that even though, yeah, my back is hurting me a lot, that I am still healthy, that these past several years I have not had to get major medical treatment for my back, even though my back is still a major concern. And just to give everyone an update on what's been going on with my back, it's been on and off. Earlier this year, I'll be completely honest with everyone, it was in a pretty bad state, especially during the times when I had traveled to E3, and then right back after getting out of E3, I traveled to too many games for that convention. Like, during that time period in June, my back was bad. It hurt severely. I was very hindered in my motion and movements of what I was able to do, to the point where I was thinking I might have to go back to the doctor and see what they suggest, even though I know that the treatments that they have really weren't helping me much. But then I got this back stretcher machine, which I used for several months, and it actually relieved the pain in my back considerably and actually built up my back muscles to the point where I was able to be a lot more mobile. I was able to do things that were more difficult for me to do. It was easier for me to do them, and that was great. And now, unfortunately, during the time that Hurricane Sandy hit us, there was a lot of things that I was doing that were out of the ordinary. I mean, it was so cold in this condo because we had no heat because the power was out for 2 days that we were sitting in the car for extended periods of time. And unfortunately, sitting in a car for extended periods of time is one of the things that hurts my back. And ever since Hurricane Sandy, my back hasn't been the same. It's kind of been flaky. One day I'll wake up and I'm okay. It's not too much pain. Today is like one of those scenarios. But there'll be other days when I wake up and my back is fucking killing me and I can barely move and all my back muscles are tense to the point where, like, I've even considered maybe looking to get some muscle relaxers or something. Which is a whole slippery slope, because how many people, you know, in history who are athletes and who are pro wrestlers have gone into, like, muscle relaxers, and next thing you know they're hooked on them and they can't operate without them, which is why I've tried to the best of my ability to stay away from any kind of medication with my back treatment, because I don't want to fall into that kind of a slope and end up an addict, and next thing you know my whole life's in shambles because I started taking drugs. And I do know that there is a history of addiction in my family, so I'm trying my best to stay away from that. So it's a mixed bag with me with my back right now. What I've actually been hearing, which is another overwhelmingly positive thing to be thankful for, is that there are major advancements in technology for this kind of injury that I have in my back. That the doctors have been looking at injections that actually will fill out the gap, or puff up the gap where the disc is where it's injured, so that it holds the disc in place properly and the person basically becomes back to normal from before they had the injury, which would be great for me. It just hasn't been approved yet. It has not been approved by the FDA as like a reasonable treatment yet for back injuries. But once it does, which hopefully, fingers crossed, it does in the next couple of years, that would be something that would be amazing if I could get something like that and try it out and see if it helps. So that's just the situation with my back. But overall, I am thankful that I'm mobile, I'm capable, I'm not, you know, limited with a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, and I'm still able to move and do what I do. Now let's talk a little bit about this past year and some of the great things that I feel have happened and some of the kind of challenges that I faced. And what I want to do is actually check the video to see the length here that I have. Alright, I'm about 20 minutes in, so I got about another 10 minutes to go. This past year has been very, very unique for me in a lot of ways. Being that it's the second year, 2 years as a full-time gamer, that's crazy. Like, did I think that I could ever do this to a point where I could do it for 2 years straight and I'd be able to support myself doing it? No. And so I do want to say thank you to Machinima. For 2 years straight, these guys have been extremely supportive in everything that I've been doing, whether it was my own independent projects like Project 7, and then later on actually supporting me to put those up on the regular Machinima Respawn channel and to get even more viewership and popularity for that series, whether it's sending me to E3 to be able to cover it for the very first time as an independent gamer and to do basically whatever I wanted to do while I was there and cover what I wanted to cover. That was an outstanding experience. Believe me, I know that there are people that are there and they're told you got to do this, 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 and be on this agenda, and if you don't do it, you're fucked. Me, it was like, sure, you do have to cover Hawken, which I did while I was there and I enjoyed it. And by the way, the Hawken Open Beta is coming in December and I will be playing it, so definitely keep your eyes open for that. But the fact that outside of that I was able to go and have free reign of E3, and the fact that they got John Rambo in so that he could, you know, do the driving, because unfortunately because of my back I was not able to drive around LA and all that, that he was able to come with me, we were able to experience this together. That was an overwhelmingly great experience. I am so grateful for that, and that they're so supportive of me. They've contacted me, they've helped me with special things this past year. In fact, being that I've become a top 25 partner, I have a little bit more clout than I used to do, and I've gotten some cool bonus things and things that have been going on this past year that I am so grateful for. So I just want to say thank you to Machinima for making this all possible. You guys are great. But yeah, that this past year of being a second year of being a full-time gamer, that there have been some unique challenges and things going on, but also some unique successes. So, again, the fact that I was able to go to E3 and cover it as an independent, the fact that I was able to go to a couple conventions, MagFest and Too Many Games, and to have my own panels, and that my fans, I was able to meet and greet for the really, honestly, it was some of the first times I was ever able to meet the fans in person, and to shake their hands, and to give them an autograph, and to have a conversation with them, and to just have a laugh with them, and have fun. That was outstanding. That really just was such a positive boost for me to be able to do that kind of stuff this past year. The fact that I was able to start an independent gaming comedy web series like Project 7, and that although it only had a short 4-episode run, because of unforeseen circumstances that made us shelve the series, to see that there is enough support and interest in the stuff that I'm doing, that a series like that could be successful. Just amongst those 4 episodes, we had over 500,000 views. Actually, when I really think about it now, it was over 250, then like another 200, and then another 250. So it was almost like 750,000, if not almost 1 million total views just amongst the first 4 episodes, not counting trailers and the supplemental materials and things that we had saved up. And just so everyone knows, I actually do have some behind-the-scenes footage of Project 7 that we never released that could definitely have some interest, because now that the series unfortunately is shelved, you might want to see some of the cool stuff that was going on behind the scenes during that time period. And I have that footage, and I may release that at a later date as like a special tribute to the series. And by no means am I saying that it will never come back. I'm just saying right now it is unfortunately shelved because the Respect the Pact was no longer able to continue with the series. And that's kind of leading into some of the negatives of this year, is that even though I had a popular web series, unfortunately we had to end it. And it's not because of anything in anyone's control. It was just some life circumstances that happened with the people who were working on it. And shit happens, let's be honest. I didn't have a written contract. I didn't have a established business relationship with everyone who was involved with the project. And when you're doing fun work with friends, which really is what it felt like, rather than some kind of a serious web series, this kind of stuff can happen, and that unfortunately is what happened. Some of the negatives that I faced this year that were overwhelmingly different from things that I faced in the past. The fact that there is so much competition right now on YouTube, that there are people who are established people doing completely different things outside of the realm of video gaming, doing gaming gameplay and reviews, and they decided, just because they saw now that it's possible for these gaming channels to get partnered, that since they already have an established viewer base, they're just going to make a gaming channel, and they don't really care about it. They're just going to do things poorly on these channels, and they're going to have a stupid gimmick, like they're going to act, oh, I'm going to play stupid horror games, and I'm going to act like a little ninny girl. And because they're being phony, but because, you know, some of these people already have established viewer bases, or because some of these people are phonies at what they do, that they become hugely successful. And I will be completely honest, I know that a lot of these people are stealing some of my views. My viewer base, who's been installed since 2008 when I started, some of them are starting to feel that I'm stagnating, that because I made an attempt to play every game over the past 2 years, that there's too much footage out there of what I'm doing, and they're starting to move on. And that is a major challenge for someone like me, who needs to try to keep it fresh, to keep it interesting, and to keep people hooked on what I'm doing, so that you don't go to one of these new alternatives that are out there. People who literally, quite literally, you can tell are only doing it for the money. They're not dedicated gamers. They're not people who were doing this before they were making money. They only started doing it once it was possible for these channels to become partnered, and they're snagging away my audience. And it's an inevitability that this is what happens. When people figure out that there's money in something, it becomes a way to do it just to make money, rather than a way to have fun, a way to be true to myself. Me, I'm true to myself, in which I would not be doing this if I didn't enjoy it. And not to say that there aren't games that I picked that unfortunately they're not as good as I hoped they would be, and that they're disappointing, and it is a little bit of a grind or a little bit annoying to play through them. And not to say that every day is the best day in the world and now I'm in a great mood, but overall I am really enjoying what I'm doing, and I was doing it before I ever made a penny doing it. I was doing this in 2008. From 2008 till the end of 2010, I didn't make a dime on what I was doing, and I was spending this money to buy these games and do this stuff as a hobby that I loved. The real primary reason that I do what I do here on YouTube, and this has never changed since day one, is because I enjoy being able to experience some of the best and most entertaining things that I've experienced in my life with other people, and to share those positive experiences with you. Let me tell you a story. Back when I first played Mass Effect by myself on the Xbox 360, way back when, I think it was like 2007, or it might have even been like the summer of 2008, because I remember I played it late. I didn't play it when it was new. I played it a little bit on the later side. And I was playing this game, and I was like, wow, this game is groundbreaking. It combines role-playing game elements with action-based third-person shooter combat with a loot system similar to RPGs, but with these overwhelmingly cool dialogue arcs that are nothing like I've ever experienced in a game before. And not to say that it hasn't been in a game before, but that was the first game that I ever played that had that kind of stuff. And I remember that when I beat the game and the credits started rolling, and they had that super cool song playing in the credits, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I forget who it was. I think it was Jack Walls or whatever. And it was just like, it felt like I had just played in an interactive sci-fi movie that really kind of touched me and moved me and had the perfect ending for a first installment in what was to be a great trilogy. And I was like, damn, that was so good, but I kind of wish I was here with friends experiencing that, or I was here with other people to experience that together. Because after that, I really didn't have anyone to talk to about it. I'll be honest, like, I have friends, but I don't have friends who are like hardcore gamers. Now it's a little bit different, because I have John Rambo, and I have Howard, and I have OJ, and I have people who I can talk to who are gamers, who I can kind of experience that stuff with. And in addition to that, I now have my YouTube following, which is like overwhelming. Every day I have a website, which, by the way, that is something else I want to mention. I am extremely grateful that I have a website that is self-sustaining, that doesn't cost me a dime to run, that I have dedicated staff and fans who are working there on the website to moderate it and to keep it running on a daily basis, because that is cool to have a place where I can have intelligent discussions with people regarding my playthroughs and games and things that are going on, and to have a place to do contests. That is primarily the reason why I do YouTube, because I get that ability to share these great, entertaining, positive things with other people like you. I really felt a little bit sad when I beat Mass Effect 1 that I had beaten it by myself and I wasn't experiencing that with anyone else, and afterwards I really didn't have anyone to talk to about it. Then later on, years later, when I was able to play Mass Effect 1 here on YouTube, and I was able to share that with everyone, it was so much fun. And it's been so much fun, even this past year, with some of the playthroughs that I've done that didn't necessarily become huge, giant hits, but to share those games with you guys, a game like Final Fantasy IV that I grew up with, that I absolutely loved, and I had these little nuanced information about, because, I'm sorry, not Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VI, my fault. Because the thing is, Final Fantasy IV is another game that eventually I do want to do here on YouTube with all of you. But to play through Final Fantasy VI and to experience it with interactivity with the fans, and again, I fully understand it wasn't one of the biggest playthroughs I ever did, but I enjoyed it more than probably a lot of the other playthroughs I ever did. And if you really want my honest opinion, if you're not talking maybe total hilarious views-wise, or hilarious moments-wise, or views-wise, or overall gameplay-wise, but if you're talking one of the playthroughs that I really feel is one of the best of this year, it was Final Fantasy VI. And if you haven't seen it, and I know there's a lot of people that can't put up with a game like that, it's a turn-based RPG with a lot of dialogue, but I really feel that if you want to get a great story, you want to see a great game, that's the playthrough you're going to want to check out, because I did full voice acting for it. Certain characters I was doing voices for and stuff. I really got into it. I did most of the Easter eggs in the game, besides one particular one that I completely fucked up because I forgot about. But definitely check it out. And that's what I mean. Like, over these next few years, I'm going to enjoy so much, not only playing the new games and experiencing the newest games with you guys, but also being able to go back and play some of the classics. Like this year I was able to do more Mega Man. I was able to do the Grand Theft Auto Marathon, which was a humongous success. I was able to go back and do things like the Digital Pictures Week, which even though it didn't blow anyone away with gameplay or views-wise, I think it was something that I always wanted to do, and I was great that I was able to do it with you guys. And being able to be successful and be able to take those weeks when I don't necessarily have to do big mainstream releases and I can do stuff like that. That's great to know that I'm in complete control of my content. I'm not being told by someone, well, no, you can only play those new releases because you're so dependent on views and money. No, I'm doing so well that crap, my camera ran out. I knew I was going to go long on this video regardless, but yeah. So overall, this year has been challenging. But it's been successful, but it's been challenging. And let me explain a little bit what I mean by that. Because there are now so many people doing what I'm doing, I absolutely know that people are now taking away from my viewership, okay? It's just a fact of a business world. I knew this would happen. And I will be completely honest with everyone, because that's the kind of person I am. As you know, if you've been following me for a while, you know that's who I am. My viewership has gone down this year. Last year, I did a heck of a lot better views-wise than I'm doing this year. Especially now, I'm finding in the hardcore gaming season, in particular, last year was like humongous. Every game that I played last year in the hardcore gaming season got monstrous views. What I'm finding this year is that some games are doing really well, and some games which you would think maybe would do well aren't doing so hot. And what I mean is, for example, a game like Assassin's Creed 3, and this is kind of funny, despite the fact that my Assassin's Creed my Assassin's Creed 3 playthrough was 2 days late in the beginning and starting because of Hurricane Sandy knocking out my power, despite the fact that it was actually a co-op commentary with Panda Lee because she was stuck here because there were no trains running so she could get home due to Hurricane Sandy, despite all those two overwhelming circumstances that you would think maybe it wouldn't have done so well. Assassin's Creed 3 is one of the best playthroughs, views-wise, that I've done all year. So regardless of the fact that I've got people on my website who are being dicks about it and voting, oh, it was one of the worst playthroughs because Panda Lee was there, and I don't like her commentary, and she ruined it, and it should have been a solo playthrough, and Phil, he's an asshole, he shouldn't have done it, he should have just skipped the game rather than do it with Panda Lee. So let's be rational adults here. You would rather never see an Assassin's Creed 3 playthrough from me ever, because you know during the hardcore gaming season there's so many games coming out that I constantly have to move forward to do new games, that you would rather have me skip this giant high-profile game entirely because I have to do commentary with my girlfriend due to unforeseen, uncontrollable circumstances, rather than have a playthrough with the commentary. Like, what the fuck is your problem? And that's kind of some of the stuff that I came up against this year, was like, just some really crazy stuff. You have to understand that in life, things change, things will evolve. And because I have a girlfriend now who is a gamer, there's going to be playthroughs that I do with her. Now, Assassin's Creed 3 wasn't one that I had planned on doing with her. It was a completely unforeseen circumstance that I did it with her. And again, uncontrollable, nothing we can do. But to see the fact that there were some people, and there were a lot of them, who weren't mature enough adults to understand the situation and say, okay, well, if I just don't like her commentary, I'm just not going to watch the playthrough. That would have been perfectly fine. And I even said it up front in the playthrough, in part 1 of the playthrough. I said, if you don't like it, it's okay, and I apologize because I didn't intend it, but you don't have to watch this playthrough, and I will understand if this playthrough doesn't have good views because of these unforeseen circumstances. There's nothing we can do about it. But instead, to see people spew this filth, this negativity about, oh, she's ruining the playthrough, and it's not just her. There are other people this year, the Arid Lord and Coruchado and some other people, just stupid complaints about we don't like it. Dude, it's free and optional entertainment. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch. And I understand that, and that's going to eventually, you know, and it is to some extent this year, it is affecting my views. I feel that there are people who, when I'm doing co-op, maybe they don't like a particular person or whatever, and so they just don't watch the playthrough. But what I don't get is that there's no consistency. And what I mean in that is, well, when I played Ghost Recon Future Soldier and I did co-op, I did it with random fans because people wanted me to. Then people complained about those random fans and said they don't like the commentary from them. It's like, you can't have it both ways. You're either going to have a dedicated group of people who I'm doing playthroughs with and who we're going to become reliant on each other. We're going to get better at it. Keep in mind it's a work in process. And you can have that. Or you can have random people who I do it, or I could just not do co-op at all. And that's the other thing. If I didn't do co-op on some of these games, I'm sure you still would have got more complaints. Phil, you have friends. Why didn't you do co-op? It's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't in a lot of these situations. And that's what I'm finding this year. There's this old saying, you can please some of the people all of the time. You can please all of the people some of the time, but you can't please all of the people all of the time. And more than often, this is what I'm finding. Like, perfect example is today, I did a poll. What game should I play on Thanksgiving? And I put in 3 options, and they're all equal. Like, when I look on Twitter, everyone voted equally for every one. So no matter what I do, I'm going to get a complaint that I didn't do this. If I play X, I'm going to get complaints on why I didn't do Y, Z, and, you know, M, which never was even an option, but people like to ask for shit when I never even say that I'm going to even possibly do it as a candidate. So this is something that I'm finding. This past year, there has been some stagnation, and there has been a drop in views. And I think it's a combination of me introducing new people into stuff, like the Airy Lord and Corchado into a lot of the co-op stuff, that like Panda Lee into some of the co-op stuff that we've done. But on the flip side of that, if Panda Lee hadn't been doing co-op with me, there are some games I probably wouldn't have checked out, including Super Mario Galaxy and Tokyo Jungle. Those are probably games I never would have touched this year if she hadn't played them with me. So right there, already, it's given me a more open mind, a more open perspective. And by the way, I really enjoyed both of those games and enjoyed playing them, and I think those are really good playthroughs. So they were worth doing. But I think it's not only introducing new people, but it's the fact that we're now in such a competitive environment here on YouTube when it comes to YouTube playthroughs and gaming, that there are people who are like, well, okay, in 2008 it was cool that Phil did playthroughs because not a lot of people were doing them with commentary, and he used a camera back then, but here we are in 2012 and he's still using a camera, and he's refusing to evolve, and he's not with the times, and there are now so many other people who are doing direct capture with live commentary that I'm just going to go watch one of them instead because they got the latest technology and their video quality is slightly better. To which I say, if that's really what you're looking for, if you're looking for video quality over the quality of the commentary and the quality of the gameplay and the jokes and the impromptu stuff that happens all the time in my videos because of the style that I record and the fact that I can upload so much footage in a single day because you don't see me doing crazy stupid encoding and shit with direct feed, if you need to move on, then go ahead by all means. And I know for a fact there are thousands of people who have done so. But it's really a shame because I really feel that I work as hard as I can to put out as much quality in my content as I can, especially gameplay-wise and entertainment-wise. And to see that people are just going for the biggest and best rather than maybe what could be the most entertaining. You know what I mean? The person who has the most views on YouTube because they use direct capture, blah, 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 instead of this person who is actually going to be more entertaining and you'll get more laughs and more entertainment value out of it just because it's a slightly worse video quality, like that kind of baffles me. And there are people on a daily basis who are, in my opinion, watching shitty content just because it's more mainstream and it's what everyone else is doing, and I've never been about that, and I never will be about that. I actually got some insulting messages this year from people calling me a dinosaur, saying that I'm too old to do what I do, saying that I'm a relic now, that since I haven't changed and I haven't evolved to do direct capture like everyone else does, that unfortunately that's why people are leaving me and that I really need to catch up with the times or else I'm going to be left behind. To which I've addressed certain things, and I've even said, and I don't know why people don't seem to understand this, that the reason I'm not doing direct feed is multiple reasons. Right now the primary reason is there's no way I could realistically make it work with my setup and all the stuff that I do and the way that I record games. Direct feed works if you're sitting in front of a little small computer monitor with headphones on and a microphone in front of you and you're recording like that. That's not how I play games. That's never been how I play games. I'm sitting here in an open environment with surround sound, okay, my system, with a screen in front of me, a big screen, and I'm relaxing here on the couch, and that's what allows me to do things and have on-the-fly commentary because it's such a relaxed environment. It's not like I feel like I'm time to work, put on my headphones, sit in front of my computer monitor and do stuff. Because you want to know when I used to do that kind of stuff? When I had my 9-to-5 job. I would sit at my desk in front of my little computer monitor and I'd be typing and clicking all day for 8 hours. That's not what I do. It's completely different. And yeah, I know that there's thousands of other people doing it. That's not what I'm about. And by no means am I saying that I will never do it. I'm saying right now it makes no fucking sense to do it, okay? That's not what my gameplay has ever been about. It's about sharing the experience with you. And that's it, okay? Never have I ever claimed to have the highest video quality or anything like that. And by the way, YouTube degrades the quality of video to the point where most people's video in direct feed looks just like mine anyway. So even though there may be a nuance here or there because of the light calibration of my camera, get over it, really. At this point, if you're going to harp about that and go watch someone else's playthrough because it has slightly better video quality, rather than stay here and be entertained, go ahead and watch the shittier product. I don't know what else to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, that just blows my mind. But I know that I am being negatively affected. And I really think that the third reason that really my views have been lower this year than last year is overall just the games. This year, I really feel has kind of been a disappointing year for games. We had big budget, high priority games that we thought, wow, this is going to knock us out of the box. And when we finally got to play it, we were like, it definitely could have been better. It's kind of more of the same. Or maybe certain games that had these weird design changes that people didn't understand. You know, you had high-profile games like Halo 4 and Black Ops 2 that you played and you were like, they're good, but they're kind of more of the same. They're not great. Or then a game like Black Ops 2 that implemented big changes in things like the campaign, but then the online play is garbage because the hit detection sucks ass. It's the worst it's ever been. And so you got to scratch your head and say, damn, really, you know, these games that used to be the biggest games of the year are coming out and they're just kind of like, yearly installments, more of the same, and they're not that great. You had games like I'll be honest, Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. We thought that was going to be a great game. That game sucked ass. It was terrible. And there were many games this year that kind of followed suit with that. Games that really had potential to be great, and then when they finally came out, the execution was poor, and the games weren't that good. And now you see that all these big budget, big profile games that were supposed to come out this year that got delayed to next year. Like you're talking the BioShock Infinite, Gears of War, God of War, Tomb Raider, all these games, Dead Space 3, that are going to be coming out within the first 3 months of next year. I really feel that next year is going to be a loaded year, like massive amounts of gameplay and great games that are going to be coming out all at the same time early in the year. And then, of course, you always have the hardcore gaming season at the end of the year. I think next year is going to be an outstanding year for gaming. And I am hoping, I'll be honest, that maybe things will turn around a little bit views-wise and I'll get back to that viewership that I had back in 2011. And also, because I've mentioned to everyone about this, I am going to institute some changes next year. Next year, I will be putting out less videos on a daily basis. I'll be playing less games overall. I'm removing these vlog-style videos, like this Thanksgiving video itself, off of this channel, and I'm putting them onto a new channel called The King of Hate Vlogs. I've mentioned this in many videos before, and I will continue to do so until everyone gets over there and subs, because right now there's only like 5,000 or so people subbed out of, I know there's a good 20 to 25,000 people who watch all my vlog style videos who need to move over there and be aware of this channel. They're just not aware of it yet because they haven't caught it. But that channel will be separate. It'll be for all my vlogs, including the weekend preview, including my game reviews, including channel updates, including DSP Tries It, which I'm going to be resuming, including new series. All that stuff's going to be on that vlog channel, and that'll be a great opportunity for me to rebrand myself, where vlogs that I'm already doing and are already successful, plus some new vlogs, are now on a new channel that you can subscribe to, so that you don't have to worry about your inbox being flooded by gameplay videos and missing out on critical vlogs that you want to watch. You can just subscribe to that channel. So, that channel exists right now. It's in the process of being partnered with Machinima, so please head over there if you're interested in my vlog style videos like this one, and go subscribe to it so you're ready for it in 2013 when I separate this content, okay? But the fact that I made the conscious decision to only play two major retail, or not retail, but two major game releases a week in the coming year, and then maybe mix in some online play and stuff like that, it's a big change for me. I found this year that trying to play every major release did not work out too well. Because there were some games in between there that I really feel were worth maybe watching the playthroughs, and people just completely skipped them and the views were very poor. And that's disappointing to me, because I put just as much work into a playthrough of a game that maybe isn't as high profile or as big budget or as well known as another AAA title as I do into the AAA title. I'm still here putting in the time, trying to get through the game, putting in commentary, and putting in gameplay. And to see that some of these games unfortunately get passed over because, you know, I don't want to see it because I'm waiting for another bigger budget game. And then when the big budget game comes out, it sucks and people complain about it. Like, it's frustrating. So maybe it is time for me to play less. It's time for me to focus more on the games that I choose to play. And some people are worried. They're like, Phil, we're worried that you're not going to pick some of the smaller games, indie games that you picked this year, like, for example, Tokyo Jungle and such. what I can tell you is this: even though there will be changes, I'm going to make an honest effort to try to play a variety of games and not to always just play the big budget games, even though obviously those are no-brainers for the games that I'll be playing. So stay tuned for some of the the updates on the strategy and things that I'll be using in 2013. But I'm really hoping that as a combination of better games plus me changing up the way that I do things, that hopefully 2013 will be a bigger and better year for me for gaming on YouTube. And like I said earlier in the video, by no means am I complaining whatsoever. I am doing outstanding for myself. The amount of views that I made this year, regardless of the fact that it was less than 2011, was still more than enough to support me, to allow me to continue what I'm doing, to even have future plans, to doing other cool, bigger and better things. It's just that when you see that and you realize this is your business, I do have to have some concern, and I do have to try to figure out a way to maybe bring it back to where we were. And I think that's what a lot of people have been saying this year. Phil, you're playing so many things, you are getting a little bit burnt out, you're getting a little bit stale because there's so much content that you're putting out. We would like you to maybe go back to 2010 and 2011. We really liked those years better than 2012. So 2013, it's going to be an effort to try to go back to roots, to do more vlog-style series and videos and start up new interesting stuff on the new channel while still trying to put out quality gameplay every single day here on DSPGaming. Okay? So, that's really it. I know it's been an extremely long-winded video, but I really wanted to get a chance to get things off my chest, to talk about things that I really enjoyed this year and that I'm massively thankful for, but to also talk about some of the things that I am tackling that are challenging me to maintain this presence on YouTube and to basically allow me to be successful. So, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to talk in videos like this to you and to let you know my honest feelings about different things that have happened over the course of the year. Please understand that even though there are times that I get frustrated, there are times when I'm doing a playthrough and either, I get so much criticism about how I'm playing the game wrong, or someone's doing commentary and people are just whining, complaining that they don't like this particular person, rather than just saying, gee, I'll be an adult about it and I'll go ahead and I'll go just not watch this playthrough. And people telling me that I've changed, that now I'm a Nazi and I moderate comments. Let me tell you something, and this is an honest truth, and anyone would know this who's followed me for a long time. On day one, when I started the Dark Side Phil channel, in the description of the channel, it says, if you leave stupid, trollish, annoying, prejudiced, insulting, negative comments on my videos, you will be blocked. It said that since day one, and I'm not kidding. Go check the Dark Side Phil channel. And since 2008, it said that, and I actually carried that message from the Dark Side Phil channel to the DSPGaming channel and copy and pasted it right on there. That said it since day one. I've never changed. I've done that since day one because I want to have a personal connection with my fans. There's a lot of people who completely ignore comments on videos and they just let them go and let people make fucking assy-code dicks and racial shit and all kinds of insulting stuff, and people don't read the comments on the videos because it's all shit. It's a bunch of children. I don't want that. I want the people to be able to discuss and to have a personal relationship with me and for me to address comments and to do things, and that's why I've always had this feeling that I do need to have some kind of policing of the comments on my videos. And to see people say you've changed and you do it now, you never used to, it's complete and utter bullshit. It's been there since day one, and that kind of stuff does frustrate me. So, alright, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Enjoy your turkey, enjoy your great meals with your family, enjoy your time. If you have some time, watch some new footage. There will be new footage here on the channel today of multiple games. I'm going to leave this Thanksgiving video as the featured video on the page so that you see it. But outside of that, there will be new gameplay uploading all day, so definitely check it out. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Enjoy the food, enjoy the relaxation, enjoy the day off from work unless you work at Walmart and they're forcing you to come in, which is complete and utter fucking bullshit. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you for new gameplay. Peace out.